Okay, let's talk about today's bell work. On Monday, I'm going to give you a quiz on the 5 properties of isosceles triangles, and then I want to do the converse, inverse, and contrapositive as well. So make sure you know all of that for Monday. So look here. The first one is, if you drop an altitude for an isosceles triangle, and you see that box, that means it's an altitude. It splits the base in half. So this one is equal to that one. So if this is 5, this would be 5. And the whole thing, of course, would be 10. On the next one, if you draw an altitude, it splits the vertex angle in half, like that. Number 3, if you split this vertex angle in half, if you bisect that upper angle, it does 2 things. It makes a altitude, or perpendicular, and it makes the base equal. Okay? So the difference between these two is you're not splitting the vertex angle. Yesterday I had it marked only because I was trying to show you what the vertex angle is. So there is a difference between 1 and 3, just so you know. The next one is an altitude to the congruent side. Well, turn it to where the congruent side is on the bottom, and then drop an altitude. And then turn this one to where the congruent side is on the bottom, and then drop an altitude. What turns out is this piece is equal to that piece. So if one of them is, say, 30, then the other one is 30. And then finally, the last one is where you take the base angles, which would be this angle and that angle, and you're going to split those in half. And when you split those in half, they're not altitudes, okay? This piece is equal to that piece, and that one is equal to that one. So if this is 15 degrees, each one of these is 15 degrees. And what that means is this will be equal to that. So if this one is 20 inches, then the other one would be 20 inches. And those are the 5 properties, okay? All right, now we went over that yesterday and the day before. Let's talk about the next one, which is the converse. Well, the conditional is, if it rains, then I will not go. So the converse would be switching. So you're going to take, by the way, this is your hypothesis, this is your conclusion. Do not include the word if and then, okay? So we're going to switch these. So you're going to say, if I do not go, if I do not go, then it rains. Okay, you just switch the hypothesis and conclusion. The inverse, you go back to the original statement and you do the opposite. So converse is CS, so write that down. This one is opposite. So you're going to say, if it does not rain, if it does not rain, then I will go. Okay, so the opposite of will not go is I will go. Now the contrapositive is both of these. So put switch and opposite. Okay, and you go back to the original. The only way it works is if both of these are true. And since this is something you really can't prove, you just have to accept it, we'll say they're both true. So the contrapositive, you're going to put this one first, but say the opposite. So if I go, then it did not rain. And that would be the contrapositive. So that's if and then. So this is your hypothesis, and this part is your conclusion. Again, do not include the word if and then. Okay, we're going to start on some trigonometry here. So let's take a look. Now what you need to know for trig on a new sheet of paper is trig only works with right triangles. Okay? So let's draw a right triangle now. Now label this A, B, and C. All right, you never stand at the right angle, so never stand here. Okay? Now you can stand here or you can stand there. Okay? And we're going to stand at both of them. So, if A is the reference angle, that means that's the one you're standing at. So we're going to stand at angle A, and we're going to say that one is the reference angle. Okay, so copy that down. So if we're standing at A, let's go ahead and put a little angle on this one. Okay, that's where we're standing. Kind of like when you're in a mall and it says you are here. So let's put an X here. That's where we're standing. Now to label your sides, you have three sides. One of them is opposite, one of them is adjacent, and one of them is the hypotenuse. Okay? So you have three different sides and you have to label them. So put your pencil on the X and then slide across. Draw it just like that. This one would be the opposite side. So BC is the opposite side if X is the reference angle. Now here's your box, so color your box. Across from the box will always be the hypotenuse. And the only one left is the adjacent, so this one is the adjacent. It's real important that you understand how to label the triangle, okay? And it always has to be in reference to a reference angle. So let's try another one. Okay, we're going to take the same triangle and we're going to label it A, B, C, but this time we're going to stand at B. So put an X right there. So now B is the reference angle. So put reference. So if I'm standing at the reference angle B, you got to label the sides. Which one is opposite, which one is adjacent, and which one is the hypotenuse. Well, it's easy to do the hypotenuse. So color the box. This one does not have a box, so that's your hypotenuse. That's easy. Okay? Now if you're standing at B, put your pencil on the X and slide across. That one is the opposite. And the only one left is the adjacent. Notice that the adjacent touches the reference angle, and so does the hypotenuse. So the two that touch the reference angle, one will always be the adjacent, and one will always be the hypotenuse. Okay, now it's your turn. And I'm going to give you a different triangle. So I want you to draw this one. And we're going to say M, N, O. Okay? Now what I want you to do is I want you to stand at angle M. So I want you to label the sides. Which one is opposite, which one is adjacent, and which one is the hypotenuse. See if you can do that. All right, well, if you color the box, this one does not have a box, so that's your hypotenuse. Now, this one touches the X, or M, and this one touches the X, or the M. So one of these is the hypotenuse, and we know that's the hypotenuse. So this one must be the adjacent. And across from the X will be the opposite. And that's how you do it. So it's real important that you understand how to label the sides. Now take a look here. This one says, and I'm showing you in the book here, it says, determine the ratio of opposite over hypotenuse using reference angle A. So put a mark right here, and we'll put an X, just for the heck of it. So we're standing at X. So the first thing you do is label your sides. So I want you to do that now. What is this side? What is this side? And what is this side? Which one is the hypotenuse? Which one is adjacent? And which one is opposite? And it's real important you understand what I'm saying. All right, so I'm going to color the box. This one has a box, this one has the box, this one does not. So that's your hypotenuse. Okay? Put put your pencil on the X and go across. That one is your opposite, and the only one left is adjacent. Okay, that's the way you should have it. Now they want the ratio of opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite would be 24 over 26. And then you got to reduce it by 2 until you get it down. So that's going to be 12 over 13. That's the ratio. Okay? That's all you're doing. Let's back up to this one. If B is the opposite side, then X is the what? Well, if B is the opposite side, then X must be the reference angle, because if you're standing at X, then the opposite side would be B. So X must be the reference angle. Okay, look at the next one. If Y is the reference angle, then B is the adjacent. Okay, watch that again. If you're standing at the Y, there are two of them that touch the Y. The C, which is the hypotenuse, and the other one has to be the adjacent. So B has to be the adjacent. Okay? All right, so today you're going to be doing these. So you got to label them. So let's try another one. If you look at number 7 right here, they want adjacent and hypotenuse. So we're going to go to number 10. And it says reference angle A. Look right here. Reference angle A, and they want adjacent and hypotenuse. So up here at number 10, draw this triangle, number 10, and then put an X at the reference angle. Now I want you to label the sides, and then I want you to do adjacent over hypotenuse is what they want. So color the box. This one does not have a box, so this would be your hypotenuse. Now if you're standing at X, put your pencil on the X and go across. That one is the opposite. The only one left is the adjacent. So 4 has to be the adjacent. So they want adjacent over hypotenuse. And so on this case, let me think about this. You don't know the answer here for the hypotenuse. So you have to do Pythagorean's theorem. So it's going to be, both of these have the box, and they go together. So it's going to be 4 squared plus 4 squared equals, this one we'll call x squared. So x is going to be the square root of 16 plus 16, which is the square root of 32. So in this one, the adjacent over the hypotenuse is going to be 4 over the square root of 32. Okay? So if they don't give you the side, you have to use Pythagorean's theorem. All right? I'm sorry, you just have to do that. So like on this one, you would say this squared plus this squared is equal to x squared. Okay? So you got to find the missing side, and then you have to label the triangle. So for today, I want you to do all of 9.1. And it looks like there's 24 problems. So put 9.1, 1 through 24. And this is the beginning of trig. So make sure you try and check your answers in the back of the book. Have a good morning.